Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 1 January 2023. It is New Year's Day. Happy New Year to all of you watching, at least in the beginning of this video's life on YouTube. For those of you who watch it down the road, you'll know what day it was done on. What we have before the camera today is the subject of a good old-fashioned knife review on the TheApostleP channel. This one, you read the title, you know what it is. It is the Esnyx Tarpon. My personal knife, purchased from my friend Evan Nicolaides this October, or this past October 2022, while I was in Sarasota. Evan is a custom knife maker of traditional pocket knives who lives in Sarasota, Florida, my favorite vacation spot for Heidi and me. So we've got a Plano polymer container that's stuffed full of stuff. Let's see if I can get it all apart. We'll just go through it at our leisure. Let's not rush through this one because it's so special. First of all, we have a hank. Yes, we do. Gosh darn if it ain't an Esnyx hank with a very nice sort of poplin fabric on one side, beautiful red stitching, and then kind of a herringbone felt, suitable for maintaining a pocket knife. We have a beautifully made Esnyx pocket slip, and we've got a certificate of authenticity. Yes, we do. This knife made October 3rd, 2022. The pattern is the Tarpon, the steel Magna Cut. The handles are amber roofline jigged bone. And then the bolsters, shield, and blade have hand-rubbed finishes, by the way. And the bolsters and the shield are in CPM 20 CV. It is hand-signed by Evan S. Nicolaides Esnyx Custom Knives. That was the table price at Blade Show. We've got a sticker I have not used, two stickers I have not used. That might look good. That might look good on the back window of my CRV. This one might look good on the adventure bike, maybe. I don't know. And then we've got this pouch. Oh. Here it is, guys. Oh. So let's see. Let me give you some history here. For, I don't know, maybe the last 5 years. So Evan and I have been friends for about 7 years. For about the last 5 years, we've thought Evan at some point was going to make me a knife. And you guys know, if you watch my channel, you see what I carry. I love standard jacks. I love the 78 GEC, and I thought, you know, I'd have Evan at some point make me a standard jack. And he told me when I was heading down to Florida, and I called him a couple of weeks ahead of time before Blade Show, before he won Best Slip Joint Custom in the world this year. I told him I was coming down. We were making arrangements to get together. He says, you know what would be cool is if you come down and maybe like on Monday you come by and we go over what it is you want me to make you, and then before you leave on Friday I'll have it done for you. I thought, man, that sounds pretty cool. So I was going to do that, and when I went to visit early in the week, probably on Monday of this October, we started talking about his winning knife from Blade, from where he had just returned. And then he showed me this, which is the only knife he took to sell and didn't sell. I think he was hiding it. He was hiding it, actually. This is the Tarpon. It is, you know, I keep forgetting to measure. Let's see. Let's just take a look. It is a full 4 1/4 inches closed. Curved handle trapper. Houndstooth shield, bare end. Hand rubbed satin bolsters, classically styled. And then you got this Magna Cut blade, this old thing. Hand rubbed satin, Esnyx style drop point. I'll get into what makes that special as we go on. Cut swedge, long pull. And for those of you who didn't notice, on the show side, or on the mark side, fully flat ground. You don't see too many knife blades with these details, the long pull, the cut swedge, full flat ground. A lot of them are saber ground. Not this one. Stock thickness appears to be just slightly under 1/8 of an inch. So when I was looking this knife over, and we were getting ready to talk about the one that Evan was going to build for me, I said, you know, Evan, I kind of like the Tarpon. He goes, well, you want me to make you a smaller one? Because he knows my sweet spot kind of is about 3 3/4 inches. I'm like, yeah, maybe we could do that. And I just kept looking at it. Kept coon fingering it and chicken eyeing it. And I'm looking for anything I could possibly see wrong with it. And the more I looked at it and the more I held it in the hand, I looked at the blade, and frankly, guys, over the years, I've sort of had a bit of an issue with this Esnyx style drop point. It kind of emulates a Japanese tanto, and I've always thought the belly should be more of a consistent radius to the tip. But Evan likes to do kind of a tight radius of belly, and then he likes to straighten it out going toward the tip. It never hit my eye right, but as I had this knife in my hand and as we were talking, I kind of started to appreciate the geometry. I appreciated the tight radius belly for cutting performance in the belly area. And then I started looking at this edge as it approaches the tip. If it were a standard drop point, that radius might straighten out a little, but it would be all belly to the tip. That blade would end up about 1/8 of an inch shorter, and it would be thicker. And I'm looking at this going, Rob, you love points, because a knife without a sharp tip is pointless, and you love slicey. And the more I looked at it, and the more I turned it, and the more I felt it, I went, you know, we're not going to do a 3 3/4 inch clip point. We're not even going to do anything. We're just taking this one home. And I did. And you saw the table price, and I'm just going to tell you a story about Evan. I was kind of one of the first YouTubers, one of the first reviewers to give Evan airtime. And we did it at, I think, the 2016 Great Eastern Cutlery Rendezvous. We talked about his JBF Champlain Electric. That was kind of a, well, it was kind of a crap show arrangement with people that owned that brand. And we talked about his customs that were current at the time. And I spent a lot of time with the interview. I've reviewed several of his knives over the years. We have always kept in touch. And guys, I knew I didn't have $1,300 to pay, but that really wasn't the point. So I wrote a number down and slid it over to him, and he looked at it and he goes, "That'll be fine. You're just lucky I'm going to let you pay me anything. You're just lucky I'm going to let you pay me anything." But I would have had to somehow. So anyway, he wanted to give me a knife. I paid him for the knife, and I'm happy to have paid him for the knife. Let's keep talking. So he didn't make me a knife but he made me a knife. He just didn't know he was making me a knife. So yeah, 4¼ inches closed. Curved handle trapper. Let's talk about this jigging, this bone. Evan calls it roofline jigging, and it's not new. It hasn't been done on any kind of a production level in a very long time. But to appreciate the profile, look at the end of the knife. See how it comes to a peak? And then as you look down, you can see, especially on the pile side, the peak running down the length of the handle. And it's a curved handle trapper, and look how the peak curves. The geometry is unbelievably symmetrical for a knife that doesn't lend itself to symmetry. That jigging, all done by Evan by hand. The die work, all done by Evan by hand. Let's talk about the external hardware. The bolsters, which I think, let me look at these again. I believe they are, if they are not integral to the liners, I can't see the line of demarcation. But bolsters, liners, whether they're integral or not, are all 20 CV. The shield is 20 CV. I want you to look at Evan's pin spinning work. Let's kind of come in closely and get some light on those things. He has made his pin spinning head custom himself. And just look at the level of precision and finish on the ends of those pins. I love how he uses smallish pins. Oh, they're gorgeous, guys. That's a detail we don't even normally talk about in pocket knives because we just don't see that. The finishing on all the steel is unbelievably gorgeous. And let's let this knife do what it do best. We're going to walk it, and it's going to talk. Listen. Yeah. Now, Evan uses a technique or a feature called mill relieved liners. So guys, some guys have tried to use phosphor bronze washers and pivots of slip joints. Some people like Reese Bowes, unlike his father Tony, uses flat liners that contact that blade tang for the entire surface. Evan uses mill relieved liners like Tony Bowes did. So he mills away material. I think you can see it. If I get the light to hit right. He mills away material from the liners so that there's a raised circular area that emulates a washer. And that's all that contacts the blade tang. So as you open and close the knife over time, you're never going to see rings start to appear on the blade tang where it contacts the liners. Look at this corner. See, there's no radial marks at all. It also makes the pivot action very free. With still, even on a knife that's assembled quite tightly, you'll never see side play, not even close, in an Esnyx knife. I love that little Roadrunner at half stop. Remember when Roadrunner used to stop? Brrr. Watch it close. Evan loves that too, by the way. He does it on purpose. So the walk and talk are just stunning. We have engine turned 20 CV liners on this knife. And I'll try to get you a shot of the blade well. Just look at the finishing. Some of you know this if you've watched my Evan Nicolaides videos over the years, but he sets all of his shields by hand, and he makes the shield pockets by hand, and you'll never see a gap. They're all perfect. He cuts the pocket by hand. And look at the way that houndstooth shield gets along with that roofline pattern in the bone. Let's take a look at Evan's maker's mark, the Esnyx mark in the blade tang, the ricasso area. That is a custom made stamp that he uses, and then that's done preheat treat, and then when he finishes it, it looks like that. Beautifully done. Look at the hand rubbed satin on that magna cut blade. It's absolutely stunning. A properly executed sharpening choil. Which, guys, is intended to be a serviceable surface. If you were going to use this knife a lot and you were going to sharpen away a blade, as that sharpening choil started to disappear, you just get in there at the edge of a 1x30 and deepen it if you like. Notice how the cutting edge begins after that tight radius plunge grind is done, so you don't have cutting edge flare at the back of the edge. Beautifully done. The kick is precisely ground. Let's see where the tip ended up on this one. Plenty buried in the handle, so you're not going to snag a finger on it coming around, but you're not crashing the blade into the back spring either. You'll find no blade wrap on this knife. So guys, let me just tell you, as someone who's handled a lot of handmade knives and a lot of CNC produced knives, I've not picked up a CNC made knife that's any more precisely made than this handmade custom slip joint from Evan Nicolaides of Esnyx Knives. I am blessed to have him as a friend. I'm very grateful that he perceives my coverage of his work as valuable to him, because frankly, as time goes by, I'm just going to be another YouTube reviewer in the annals of history, and Evan Nicolaides, in my estimation, is the next Tony Bose. I don't think there is a maker under 40 who can hold a candle to his work. And some of you know, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, that Evan sort of learned his craft at the knee of the old dog. Not that he does everything as Tony would have him do it, but he learned a lot from the old dog, and you can see a lot of Tony in Evan's work. I thought I'd share this with you, and if you're watching my videos near the beginning of 2023, you're going to probably notice that this video comes in very close proximity to my list of the top 10 most carried knives of 2022. This one's on the list. Yeah, it is the most expensive knife I own, and it's been in my pocket a lot. Not in this slip, by the way, because it's too pretty to use. I just throw it in a knife ship free Main Street slip, I believe. So that is the Esnyx Tarpon. I love, and if you look at Evan's work over the last few years, he's a Sarasota, Florida boy, and he names his knife over locally native fish. So he's got the tarpon, he's got the barracuda. He does have some knives that are, there's the snook, and then there's some knives that aren't named after local fish, but I love that he does that. Not too many knife makers in Sarasota, Florida, but the best slip joint maker south of Reese Bose is there. That's all for this one, guys. Esnyx Tarpon, home run. Thank you, my friend, for putting it in my pocket. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember, the Word and the Esnyx Tarpon are sharp.